The hockey world mourned the loss of a legend in 2023 as Bobby Hull, the Golden Jet, passed away at the age of 84. Known for his lightning-fast shot and charismatic personality, Hull left an indelible mark on the sport, captivating fans with his electrifying performances and record-breaking achievements. However, recent revelations by his son have shed new light on Hull's final years, adding another layer to the complex legacy of this iconic figure. Join us as we delve into the life and career of Bobby Hull, exploring both his triumphs on the ice and the controversies that followed him off the rink. Bobby Hull's hockey legacy is a tale of two narratives, one of unparalleled on-ice brilliance and another marred by controversy and personal demons. On the ice, Hull was a force of nature. Nicknamed the Golden Jet for his blonde hair and blazing speed, he revolutionized the game with his powerful left-handed shot and scoring prowess. He was a two-time Hart Trophy winner as the league's most valuable player and a three-time Art Ross Trophy winner as the leading scorer. His 610 goals in the NHL rank him 17th all-time, and he remains the Chicago Blackhawks' all-time leading goal scorer. Hull's impact on the game extended beyond his individual achievements. He was a key figure in the Blackhawks' Stanley Cup victory in 1961, their first championship in 23 years. His electrifying style of play and charismatic personality made him a fan favorite, drawing crowds to arenas across North America. In 1972, Hull made a controversial move to the newly formed World Hockey Association, WHA, signing a then-record $1 million contract with the Winnipeg Jets. His decision to jump to the rival league sent shockwaves through the NHL and helped legitimize the WHA as a competitor. Hull continued to excel in the WHA, winning 2 championships and 2 scoring titles. Hull's return to the NHL in 1979, after the WHA folded, was met with mixed reactions. Some fans welcomed him back as a prodigal son, while others criticized him for his perceived betrayal of the league. Nevertheless, Hull continued to play at a high level, adding another 93 goals to his NHL total before retiring in 1981. Off the ice, Hull's legacy is more complicated. He faced numerous allegations of domestic abuse and violence, which tarnished his reputation and cast a shadow over his accomplishments. He also made controversial statements on race and politics, further alienating some fans and tarnishing his image. Despite the controversies, Hull's impact on the game of hockey is undeniable. He was a pioneer, a trailblazer, and a generational talent. He redefined the role of the power forward, paving the way for future generations of players. His legacy is a complex one, but his contributions to the sport cannot be overlooked. In the wake of Bobby Hull's passing, his son, Brett Hull, a celebrated NHL player in his own right, revealed intimate details about his father's final years and the circumstances surrounding his death. The revelations, shared in interviews and social media posts, painted a poignant picture of a man grappling with dementia and the physical toll of a life lived on the ice. Brett Hull disclosed that his father had been diagnosed with dementia some time ago, a condition that gradually eroded his memory and cognitive abilities. He described his father's decline as heartbreaking, witnessing the once vibrant and charismatic hockey legend struggle with everyday tasks and lose touch with the world around him. In the weeks leading up to his death, Bobby Hull's health deteriorated rapidly. He was hospitalized for several days, battling complications related to his dementia. Brett Hull revealed that his father passed away peacefully in his sleep, surrounded by family and loved ones. The revelations about Bobby Hull's dementia and the circumstances of his death have sparked a wave of sympathy and condolences from the hockey community and fans worldwide. It has also prompted reflection on the long-term effects of head injuries in contact sports like hockey, with some speculating that Hull's condition may have been linked to the countless hits and concussions he sustained during his career. Brett Hull's openness about his father's struggles has also opened up a conversation about the importance of support and care for those living with dementia. He has spoken candidly about the challenges of caring for a loved one with the disease and the emotional toll it takes on families. While the revelations about Bobby Hull's final years have added a layer of sadness to his legacy, they have also humanized the hockey icon, reminding us that even the most celebrated figures face vulnerability and mortality. His son's decision to share these intimate details has sparked a broader discussion about the importance of compassion, understanding, and support for those living with dementia and their families. Bobby Hull's legacy is marred by numerous controversies and personal struggles that have tarnished his image as a hockey icon. Throughout his life, Hull faced allegations of domestic abuse from 2 of his wives. His second wife, Joanne, accused him of physical violence, including an incident where he allegedly beat her with a steel-heeled shoe. His third wife, Deborah, also filed charges of assault, but later dropped them. These allegations have cast a dark shadow over Hull's personal life and sparked debates about separating an athlete's on-ice achievements from their off-ice behavior. In addition to the domestic abuse allegations, Hull made controversial statements in a 1998 interview with the Moscow Times, expressing admiration for Adolf Hitler and his supposed good ideas. While Hull later denied these comments and claimed he was misquoted, the incident further damaged his reputation and alienated many fans. These controversies have led to a reevaluation of Hull's legacy, with some arguing that his personal conduct should not overshadow his contributions to the sport, while others believe that his actions off the ice are inextricably linked to his overall legacy. The passing of Bobby Hull in 2023 has left the hockey world grappling with a complex and multifaceted legacy. While his on-ice achievements are undeniable, his off-ice controversies and personal struggles cast a long shadow over his career. The recent revelations by his son, Brett, have added another layer of complexity to the narrative, shedding light on Hull's final years and the toll dementia took on him. In reflecting on Bobby Hull's life, it's important to acknowledge both the brilliance of his hockey career and the darkness of his personal life. He was a true trailblazer on the ice, revolutionizing the game with his speed, skill, and scoring prowess. He inspired countless young players with his electrifying performances and helped grow the sport's popularity. His records and achievements are a testament to his exceptional talent and dedication to the game. However, we cannot ignore the pain and suffering caused by his actions off the ice. The allegations of domestic abuse and his controversial statements on sensitive issues are a stark reminder that even our heroes can have flaws and make mistakes. It is important to hold individuals accountable for their actions, even as we acknowledge their accomplishments. As we remember Bobby Hull, let us celebrate his on-ice brilliance while acknowledging the complexities of his personal life. Let us use his story as a reminder that even the most celebrated figures are human, capable of both greatness and fallibility. By confronting the uncomfortable truths about his past, we can foster a more honest and nuanced understanding of his legacy. In remembering Bobby Hull, we also honor the countless lives he touched through his contributions to the sport of hockey. He inspired generations of players and fans, leaving an indelible mark on the game. Let us cherish his on-ice brilliance, learn from his mistakes, and continue to support those affected by the issues he struggled with in his personal life. Bobby Hull's life was a tapestry of triumphs and tribulations. He was a hockey legend, a beloved figure to many, and a source of pain and controversy for others. As we reflect on his life and career, we must confront the full spectrum of his legacy. Let's continue the conversation. Share your thoughts in the comments below. How do you reconcile Bobby Hull's achievements on the ice with his off-ice controversies? How should we remember him? Let's engage in a respectful dialogue and strive for a deeper understanding of this complex figure and the impact he had on the sport of hockey.
Tony's path to greatness began in an unusual way. Growing up in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, as the younger brother of future NHL star Phil Esposito, Tony became a goalie through pure misfortune. According to Phil, Tony consistently lost a childhood game where the loser was forced to take the net. This humble beginning hardly predicted the greatness that would follow. Unlike most NHL prospects who followed the traditional junior hockey route, Esposito chose an unconventional path through American college hockey. At Michigan Tech, he became a three-time All-America selection and helped the Huskies win the 1965 NCAA championship. He was only the third American college player ever selected by an NHL team. This unique background may have contributed to his innovative approach that would later revolutionize goaltending. After a brief stint in the Western Hockey League, Esposito made his NHL debut with Montreal during the 1968 to 1969 season. He played just 13 games as a third-string goaltender behind veterans Gump Worsley and Roger Vachon. When the Canadiens won the Stanley Cup that year, Esposito barely contributed. In what became one of hockey's most consequential mistakes, Montreal left the young goaltender unprotected in the 1969 intra-league draft. The Chicago Blackhawks immediately claimed him, a decision that would transform both franchises for the next decade. Being discarded by Montreal provided powerful motivation for Esposito. He would channel this rejection into a burning desire to prove his former team wrong, a motivation that Chicago fans would celebrate when their new goalie helped eliminate Montreal from the playoffs after his record-breaking rookie season. Esposito's first season with Chicago was nothing short of revolutionary. At age 26, he posted a 2.17 goals against average and set a modern NHL record with 15 shutouts in a single season. This incredible performance earned him the nickname Tony O, with the O representing the big zero on the scoreboard when he kept opponents scoreless. His dominance was so complete that he won both the Calder Memorial Trophy as Rookie of the Year and the Vezina Trophy as the league's top goaltender. He was even runner-up for the Hart Memorial Trophy as Most Valuable Player. But Esposito's success wasn't just about statistics. He was pioneering a completely new style of goaltending. While traditional goalies used a stand-up approach, Esposito developed what he called aggressive goaltending. He actively dropped to his knees to block shots with his pads, moving down on the ice to attack the puck rather than waiting for it to come to him. This technique, later formalized as the butterfly style, confounded shooters and laid the foundation for modern goaltending. His immediate success proved the effectiveness of this revolutionary approach. Following his legendary rookie campaign, Esposito established himself as the most durable and consistent goaltender of his era. For 15 seasons, he served as Chicago's unwavering anchor throughout the 1970s. His remarkable consistency and ability to handle an immense workload made him the ultimate workhorse. By decade's end, he led all NHL goaltenders with 311 wins, far surpassing his nearest competitors. He also topped the league with 56 shutouts during the 1970s. What made this even more impressive was that Esposito was the only goaltender to reach 300 wins during the 1970s. His reliability allowed him to accumulate career totals that remain Blackhawks franchise records today. He appeared in 886 games, compiled 423 wins, and recorded 76 shutouts. He still holds Chicago's all-time records for both victories and shutouts. Now I'm curious, what do you think made Tony Esposito such an incredible workhorse throughout his career? Was it his unique college background, his motivation from being discarded by Montreal, or something else entirely? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible hockey stories like this one. Esposito's excellence becomes even more remarkable when you consider the state of the Blackhawks during his later career years. While Chicago was strong early in the decade, the team's performance declined after star forward Bobby Hull departed. This highlighted the unique position of goaltenders who can elevate average teams through individual brilliance but cannot single-handedly carry them to championships. Esposito's consistent statistical excellence on a team that was no longer a perennial contender stands as powerful proof of his personal talent and unwavering commitment. The debate over the greatest goaltenders of the 1970s centered on three Hall of Famers: Tony Esposito, Ken Dryden, and Bernie Parent. Each built compelling cases for supremacy, shaped by different aspects of greatness. Bernie Parent earned recognition for his two-season peak from 1973 to 1975, winning 2 Vezina trophies, 2 Stanley Cups, and 2 playoff MVP awards. Ken Dryden achieved remarkable success in a shorter career, winning 6 Stanley Cups in just 8 seasons with the dynastic Montreal Canadiens. Tony Esposito carved out his own unique place as the definitive workhorse and career king. His claim to greatness rested on sheer durability and sustained high-level performance over a longer period than his peers. His 3 Vezina trophies in 1970, 1972, and 1974, plus multiple All-Star selections, demonstrated consistent excellence that didn't depend on playing for a dynasty. While Parent and Dryden's legacies were tied to their team's success, Esposito's sustained excellence was a personal accomplishment earned without the benefit of a perennial powerhouse. Esposito's international performance provided a powerful counterpoint to his lack of Stanley Cup success with Chicago. In September 1972, he was one of 2 goaltenders for Team Canada in the landmark Summit Series against the Soviet Union, playing alongside Ken Dryden. Despite the team's initial struggles, Esposito was a standout performer. He played in 4 of 8 games, earning 2 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie. Statistically, he outshone both Dryden and legendary Soviet goalie Vladislav Tretiak, posting the lowest goals against average at 3.25 and a higher save percentage than his Canadian teammate. Esposito started Game 2 at Maple Leaf Gardens, helping Canada secure its first series victory, and was in goal for the crucial Game 7 victory in Moscow. His role went beyond statistics. During halftime of the decisive Game 8 with Canada trailing, Esposito delivered an inspiring speech to his teammates, proclaiming, "If those bastards can score 5 on me, then we can get enough in the third." This demonstrated his critical role in team morale and ultimate success. In a series representing national pride and Cold War tensions, Esposito proved his status as a world-class goaltender and winner on the biggest possible stage. Tony Esposito's career with Chicago was defined not only by individual brilliance, but also by recurring playoff disappointment. The first major heartbreak came in the 1971 Stanley Cup Final against Montreal. Chicago held a commanding 2-0 second period lead in Game 7 before Montreal mounted a stunning comeback to win the cup. The tragic irony was that Esposito was outdueled by Ken Dryden, representing the team that had discarded Tony. This repeated in 1973 when Chicago lost to Montreal again in 6 games. Esposito's playoff journey resulted in a unique record, most consecutive Stanley Cup playoff losses at 16 games. At first glance, this appears negative, but it's actually a testament to his remarkable durability and the sheer number of postseason games he played as Chicago's starter for over a decade. A player cannot accumulate such a record without being a consistent, reliable presence in the sport's highest stakes moments. The record represents unwavering commitment and longevity rather than failure. Off the ice, Esposito was known for his fiercely competitive personality. His brother Phil described him as very intense and miserable before games. Tony himself described his job as torture and admitted to blaming myself for losses from a young age. His pre-game rituals, including superstitions against crossed hockey sticks, were methods of managing the psychological toll of his position. Tony Esposito officially retired after the 1983 to 1984 season, concluding a remarkable 16-year career. His legacy was officially honored on November 20th, 1988, when Chicago retired his jersey number 35. Esposito remarked that while hundreds of players are in the Hall of Fame, having a jersey retired is an ultimate dream that only a handful achieve. He was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1988, and the Hockey News ranked him 79th on its list of the 100 greatest hockey players. Tony Esposito's legacy is a rich tapestry of pioneering innovation, statistical dominance, and fierce personal resolve. He was a goaltending maverick who reshaped the position through his butterfly style, influencing generations of netminders. As a workhorse, he was the most durable goaltender of his era, demonstrating sustained excellence over a longer period than many peers. The lack of a Stanley Cup with Chicago, particularly those painful defeats to the very team that discarded him, adds heroism to his story. However, this playoff heartbreak doesn't diminish his greatness. Instead, it highlights his unwavering commitment to a struggling franchise and personal excellence independent of team success. Ultimately, Tony Esposito's legacy is defined by his profound connection to Chicago. His retired number and ambassador role are tributes to a man who became the face of a franchise through his skill, intensity, and passion. So the next time someone calls Tony Esposito's career a tragedy, remember this: he was a pioneering legend whose enduring legacy remains inextricably linked to the team and city he made his own. If you enjoyed learning about this hockey legend, make sure to hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments which hockey legend you'd like to see featured next. When Stan Mikita died in 2018, doctors found something shocking in his brain. The hockey legend, who transformed from one of the sport's most aggressive players into its greatest gentleman, had stage 3 chronic traumatic encephalopathy. His brain donation would change hockey forever. 7 years have passed since we lost this Chicago Blackhawks icon, but the truth behind his death reveals a story far more complex than most fans know. Mikita's journey wasn't just about hockey stats or trophy cases. It was about a man who literally rewired his entire approach to the game and then gave his final gift to science. Born Stanislaus Kvoth in Czechoslovakia in 1940, Mikita arrived in Canada at age 8 to live with his aunt and uncle. Other kids called him a foreigner and picked fights with him constantly. Those early battles taught him to never back down from anyone. That fighting spirit would define his early hockey career in ways that would haunt him decades later. When Mikita joined the Chicago Blackhawks, he earned the nickname the Little Devil. Despite being only 5 feet 9 inches and 165 pounds, he was one of the most feared players in the league. His rookie season saw him rack up 119 penalty minutes in just 67 games. By 1965, that number climbed to 154 minutes. In his own biography, Mikita admitted to using dirty tactics like elbowing, kneeing, and running players from behind. He was aggressive, hot-tempered, and absolutely relentless. But then something incredible happened. His young daughter Meg asked him a simple question that would change everything. She wanted to know why Daddy was always sitting alone in the penalty box. That innocent question hit Mikita like a lightning bolt. He realized his aggression was actually hurting his team instead of helping them. The transformation was immediate and stunning. In the 1966-67 season, Mikita's penalty minutes dropped from 154 to just 12. But here's the amazing part: his production didn't suffer at all. In fact, he became even better. That same season, he accomplished something no player in NHL history had ever done. He won the Hart Trophy as the league's most valuable player, the Art Ross Trophy as the scoring leader, and the Lady Byng Trophy for sportsmanship. Then he did it again the very next year. What do you think about that kind of transformation? Can someone really change their entire personality that dramatically? Drop a comment below and hit subscribe, because Mikita's story gets even more incredible from here. This wasn't just luck or a fluke season. Mikita was genuinely one of the most skilled players who ever lived. He was lightning fast on skates and could handle the puck like it was attached to his stick. He pioneered the curved banana blade stick that made his wrist shot nearly unstoppable. His face-off skills were legendary, and he could play defense just as well as offense. The man was a complete hockey player who proved that skill and intelligence could triumph over pure aggression. Mikita spent his entire 22-year career with the Chicago Blackhawks, which is almost unheard of in professional sports. When he retired, he held franchise records for assists, points, and games played. He helped lead the team to a Stanley Cup championship in 1961. His trophy case was incredible. 4 Art Ross trophies, 2 Hart trophies, 2 Lady Byng trophies, and 8 All-Star selections. The Hockey Hall of Fame inducted him in 1983, cementing his place among the greatest players ever. But Mikita's legacy extends far beyond hockey statistics and individual achievements. He was deeply involved in charitable work throughout his life, showing the same compassion off the ice that he displayed during his transformation as a player. He was instrumental in bringing the Special Olympics to Chicago, working tirelessly to create opportunities for athletes with disabilities. Along with his uncle, he co-founded the American Hearing Impaired Hockey Association, giving deaf and hard of hearing players a chance to compete at high levels. The same empathy that led him to change his playing style after his daughter's question also drove him to help others throughout his community. He understood what it felt like to be different, to struggle for acceptance, and he used his platform to lift up people who faced similar challenges. This wasn't just about writing checks or showing up for photo opportunities. Mikita was genuinely invested in making a difference in people's lives. Unfortunately, those early years of aggressive play had consequences that wouldn't become clear until much later in his life. The repeated hits, the fights, the collisions that seemed routine during his playing days were actually causing damage that accumulates over time. In 2014, Mikita's family began to notice troubling changes. He would lose his train of thought in the middle of sentences. He would forget common words and become noticeably quieter in social settings. The man who had been so sharp and articulate was slowly fading away. His wife Jill described how his cognitive abilities seemed to disappear almost overnight in late 2014. His functions just vanished, she said, marking the absolute end of the man they knew and loved. By 2015, doctors suspected he had Lewy body dementia, a progressive disease that impacts thinking, movement, mood, and behavior. This devastating condition had stripped away his memories of everything, including his legendary hockey career. The family made the incredibly brave decision to go public with his diagnosis in January 2015. They announced that Stan was suffering from suspected Lewy body dementia and that the disease had robbed him of his memories. They wanted other families dealing with similar struggles to know they weren't alone. The response was overwhelming. People from all over reached out to share their own experiences with loved ones facing dementia. By this point, Mikita had no memory of his former life and required constant care around the clock. His wife's words were absolutely heartbreaking. The Stan we knew is gone, completely gone. Imagine watching someone you love disappear while their body remains. The public sharing of this painful journey wasn't easy, but it transformed his personal struggle into something that could help others cope with similar situations. Even in his declining state, with his memories fading and his mind betraying him, Mikita made one final decision that would define his lasting legacy. He chose to donate his brain to the UNITE Brain Bank in Boston for medical research. He visited the researchers while he could still understand what he was agreeing to, making the explicit decision to help future players and advance our understanding of brain injuries in hockey. He knew this wouldn't help him personally. By the time researchers could study his brain, he would be gone. But he wanted the information to help others avoid the same fate. It was the ultimate act of selflessness from a man who had already given so much to the game and to his community. This decision embodied everything he had become since that conversation with his daughter years earlier. When Mikita passed away in August 2018 at the age of 78, researchers at Boston University began their careful study of his brain tissue. What they found in September 2019 was groundbreaking and heartbreaking at the same time. He had stage 3 chronic traumatic encephalopathy, making him the first Hockey Hall of Famer ever diagnosed with CTE. The diagnosis also revealed Lewy body disease, creating a devastating combination that explained his cognitive decline. Dr. Ann McKee, a leading CTE expert, confirmed that both his diseases were associated with long careers in contact sports, like hockey. This wasn't just about enforcers or fighters who dropped gloves every night. This was a superstar, a gentleman, a player known more for skill than violence in his later career. His diagnosis elevated the conversation about player safety to an entirely new level and forced the hockey world to confront uncomfortable truths. Mikita's brain donation has become a catalyst for change in hockey. His case provides compelling evidence that repeated head impacts, even in non-fighting roles, can lead to devastating long-term consequences. The NHL has been slower than other leagues to address brain injury issues, but cases like Mikita's are impossible to ignore. Scientists and advocates hope his pledge will spark more interest in hockey research and inspire greater participation in brain donation from the athletic community. The tragedy is obvious, but there's also something beautiful about Mikita's final gift. He transformed himself from the little devil into a gentleman during his playing career. Then he transformed his personal suffering into a public service after his death. His brain donation continues to help researchers understand CTE and potentially save future athletes from the same fate. Stan Mikita's story forces us to reconsider what it means to be a hockey great. His early aggression may have contributed to his tragic decline, but his willingness to change, to grow, and to help others defines his true legacy. He proved that people can fundamentally transform themselves, and that even in death, we can continue to make a difference. 7 years after his passing, Mikita's final gift keeps giving back to the sport he loved. Every study that uses data from his brain donation brings us closer to understanding how to protect future players. His legacy isn't just the Stanley Cup he won or the records he set, it's the profound and lasting impact of choosing compassion over aggression, growth over stubbornness, and service over self-interest.
Peter Zezel died in 2009, and the circumstances surrounding his passing are nothing short of tragic. Yet behind this heartbreaking end lies the story of a man whose character shone brightest in his darkest moments. This is about a Canadian hockey player whose greatest victories weren't measured in goals or assists, but in the lives he touched and the ultimate sacrifice he made for others. Born in Scarborough, Ontario, Peter Zezel was never just a hockey player. His athletic talents stretched beyond the ice rink to the soccer field, where he played for Wexford SC and was even drafted by the Toronto Blizzard of the North American Soccer League. In 1982, at just 17 years old, he represented Canada on the national under-20 soccer team at the CONCACAF tournament. Despite his father's own success in soccer, Peter ultimately chose hockey as his path to greatness. This dual sport background wasn't just a fun fact about his youth, it shaped the player he would become. His years on the soccer pitch taught him skills that translated perfectly to hockey, making him incredibly strong along the boards and one of the best face-off men in the entire NHL. When the Philadelphia Flyers selected him 41st overall in the 1983 NHL entry draft, they were getting more than just a talented teenager. They were getting a complete athlete. Zezel burst onto the NHL scene in 1984 at age 19, immediately making his mark with the Flyers. In his rookie season, he finished 5th in rookie scoring with 61 points and set a new Flyers rookie record with 46 assists. His impact was immediate and undeniable. The young center became a key contributor to 2 Flyers teams that reached the Stanley Cup Finals in both 1985 and 1987. These were the glory days of his career, when his offensive skills were in full display. His numbers told the story of a rising star. While with the Flyers and later the St. Louis Blues, Zezel reached career highs that showcased his offensive prowess. He scored a career-best 33 goals during the 1986-87 season and achieved career highs of 49 assists and 72 points in 1988-89 and 1989-90, respectively. His performance with the Blues was particularly impressive during the 1989 playoffs, where he led the team with 6 goals and 12 points in just 10 games. But perhaps the most telling chapter of Peter Zezel's character came when he was traded to his hometown Toronto Maple Leafs in 1990. Under coach Pat Burns, everything changed. Zezel's role shifted dramatically from being a primary offensive threat to serving almost exclusively as a checking line center and defensive specialist. His scoring numbers dropped significantly, but this transformation revealed something extraordinary about his character. Before we continue with Peter's incredible story of adaptation and sacrifice, I want to ask you something. Which aspect of his character do you admire most so far? His versatility as an athlete, his immediate impact in the NHL, or his willingness to completely change his role for the team? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories like this one. Rather than sulking about his reduced offensive role, Zezel embraced the change completely. He wasn't a player whose skills had diminished. He was a professional who reinvented his entire game to remain valuable at the highest level. This adaptability and humility would become defining traits that his teammates and friends would praise for years to come. The transition paid off for Toronto. Zezel played a crucial part in the Maple Leafs' deep playoff runs in 1993 and 1994, which saw the team reach the Western Conference Finals and come within a single game of the Stanley Cup. His importance to these runs was highlighted when he scored a Game 1 overtime winner in 1994. His ability to transform from a high-scoring forward to a defensive stalwart showcased not just his hockey intelligence, but his selfless dedication to winning. Over his 15-season NHL career, Zezel played for 7 different teams, accumulating 800 373 games played, 219 goals, 389 assists, and 608 total points. But these numbers, impressive as they are, only tell part of his story. The real measure of Peter Zezel would come after his skates were hung up for good. His NHL career ended abruptly during the 1998-99 season in a way that perfectly foreshadowed the character he would display in his final years. Zezel had been traded from the Vancouver Canucks to the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, but when the trade was completed, he was in Toronto. He refused to report to his new team. The reason wasn't about money, playing time, or any typical professional dispute. Peter Zezel walked away from his NHL career to be with his niece Jillian, who was terminally ill with cancer. This decision to prioritize family over career was a powerful testament to his character. It established a precedent for the generosity and selflessness that would define his remaining years. Walking away from professional hockey to care for a loved one showed the hockey world who Peter Zezel really was beneath the uniform. After retirement, Zezel remained deeply connected to his community, particularly in the Toronto area. He channeled his passion for hockey into mentoring the next generation, running the Peter Zezel Hockey and Sports Camps in Etobicoke for 11 years. These camps helped young players improve their hockey and soccer skills, passing on the dual sport knowledge that had served him so well. He also dedicated time to coaching minor hockey, including a stint with the Don Mills Flyers Ischua team, and became a frequent guest on sports talk shows. But in October 2001, Peter's life took a dramatic turn. He was diagnosed with hemolytic anemia, a rare and serious blood disorder that causes the body to destroy red blood cells faster than they can be produced. The initial diagnosis was severe. He was reported to be close to death. However, after a period of intensive treatment, he made what appeared to be a full recovery. Managing his condition required ongoing medication, including the drug prednisone, which caused significant weight gain. This period of remission highlighted the nature of hemolytic anemia, which for many patients is a lifelong condition requiring continuous treatment rather than something that can be cured once and forgotten. For nearly 8 years, Zezel lived with his condition relatively successfully. He continued his community work, remained active in hockey circles, and seemed to have found a way to manage his health challenges. But in the spring of 2009, approximately a decade after his initial diagnosis, his condition took a turn for the worse. The disease had returned with a vengeance. Once again, he was described as being close to death. This time, his medical team determined that more aggressive treatment was necessary. He underwent chemotherapy to suppress his immune system and stop it from attacking his red blood cells. He also had his spleen removed in a procedure called a splenectomy, since the spleen was identified as the primary site where his red blood cells were being destroyed. What happened next was a tragic cascade of medical complications that would ultimately cost him his life. Shortly after the splenectomy, Peter began complaining of severe headaches. These weren't ordinary headaches. Something was seriously wrong. Approximately 12 hours later, he was rushed into emergency surgery when doctors discovered he was suffering from a brain hemorrhage. The medical explanation for what happened reveals the cruel irony of his death. The very treatments meant to save his life created the conditions that killed him. Chemotherapy can cause a dangerous drop in platelet counts, a condition called thrombocytopenia, where the body loses its ability to clot blood effectively. The surgical trauma from the splenectomy, combined with his already compromised blood clotting ability, created what medical experts would later describe as a state of heightened vulnerability to hemorrhagic events. Following the emergency brain surgery, Peter slowly slipped into a coma. As his organs began to fail, he was placed on life support. The medical team and his family knew there was no chance of recovery. The brain damage was too extensive. The bleeding had been too severe. But even in this darkest hour, Peter Zezel's character shone through one final time. His family was faced with an impossible decision, but they knew what Peter would have wanted. In accordance with his wishes to be an organ donor, they made the difficult choice to remove him from life support. This wasn't just about letting him go. It was about preserving his organs so they could give life to others who desperately needed them. His organs were donated through the Trillium Gift of Life Network, providing a final gift of life to multiple recipients. This last act was the culmination of a life defined by putting others first. From walking away from his NHL career to care for his dying niece, to dedicating his retirement years to mentoring young athletes, to this ultimate sacrifice, Peter Zezel consistently demonstrated that his greatest victories happened off the ice. Peter Zezel died on May 26, 2009, at the age of 44. His death prompted widespread mourning throughout the hockey community. Friends and former teammates, including Doug Gilmour and Wendell Clark, were among the hundreds who attended his funeral service in Mississauga. Wendell Clark captured the essence of who Peter was when he called him an ambassador for the game, an ambassador for how to love life and have fun. The Toronto Maple Leafs organization 2009, and the NHL Players Association released statements remembering him as a consummate professional and a great teammate who was well-liked by everyone. His legacy was cemented through several posthumous honors. In 2009, he was inducted into the Etobicoke Sports Hall of Fame as an athlete for hockey. In July 2014, a street in a new development in his hometown of Scarborough was officially named Ziesel Way in his honor, permanently recognizing his deep connection to the community that shaped him. Peter Ziesel's story teaches us that a life's true measure extends far beyond professional accomplishments. His enduring legacy isn't found in his career statistics or the honors he received during his playing days. It's found in the humility he showed when changing roles mid-career, the work ethic that allowed him to reinvent himself as a defensive specialist, and the unwavering commitment to others that he displayed throughout his life. As we remember Peter Ziesel, please take a moment to like and share this video. His story of selflessness, adaptability, and ultimate sacrifice deserves to be remembered and shared. In a world that often celebrates individual achievement above all else, Peter Ziesel showed us that our greatest victories come from the lives we touch and the people we help along the way. Until his very last moments, he continued to give.